The alarm bells screamed across Kalara Station like dying animals. Commander Hyunwoo pressed his crystalline hands against the cold metal wall of the command center and felt the vibrations travel through his body. His kind, the Talari, could sense fear through touch. Right now, the station walls sang with terror. "Commander, we have a problem," said So-Young, her insect-like wings buzzing with nervous energy. The Vexian engineer's 6 arms worked across multiple control panels at once, her compound eyes reflecting the red warning lights. "Long-range sensors are picking up something big. Really big." Hyunwoo moved to the main display screen. His translucent, blue skin grew darker as he saw what waited for them in the black void of space. Ships. Hundreds of them. Dark, angular vessels that looked like flying blades designed to cut through anything in their path. "How many?" he asked, though his voice barely came out as a whisper. 200 confirmed, So-Young replied. Her translator device made her clicking sounds into words the others could understand. Skarath design, heavy assault class. They just dropped out of hyperspace at the system edge. Jinho, the station's security chief, slammed his rocky fist on the nearest console. The Dromal's stone-like body was built for mining, not fighting, but he had the heart of a warrior. 200? We have 12 patrol boats and some mining equipment. This is not a fight. This is murder. The main screen showed the enemy fleet moving toward them like a dark cloud. Each ship was 3 times larger than Kalara Station's biggest patrol vessel. Their hulls were black metal covered in spikes and weapon ports. The Skarath built their ships to look scary, and it worked very well. "Send a message to Coalition Command," Hyunwoo ordered. "Tell them we need help. Tell them we need it now." Taemin, the Dromal navigator, shook his massive head. "Commander, Coalition fleet is 6 days away. Even if they left right now, they would not get here in time." "Then send the message anyway," Hyunwoo said, "and broadcast it on all emergency channels. Maybe someone else will hear us." The station was home to 50,000 beings from across the galaxy. Most were miners and their families, people who came here to dig precious metals from the asteroid belt. They were not soldiers. They were not fighters. They were just ordinary people trying to make a living in the cold darkness between stars. Young-Soo, the elderly Talari historian, looked up from his research terminal. His crystal body was so old it had turned almost white. "Commander, I found information about the Skarath fleet movement. They are not just raiding, this is a full conquest force. They plan to take this entire sector." "What does that mean for us?" Jinho asked. Young-Soo's face grew sad. "It means they will not accept surrender. They will take everyone as slaves. The lucky ones will work in their mines until they die. The unlucky ones will become food." The silence in the command center was heavy like a physical weight. Everyone knew what this meant. Everyone knew they were going to die. "Incoming transmission from the Skarath flagship," So-Young announced. "They want to talk." The main screen flickered and showed the face of a Skarath commander. The alien looked like a cross between a lizard and a shark, with black eyes that held no mercy. Scars covered his face and his teeth were sharp metal replacements. "I am war leader Vaktar of the Skarath Empire," the alien said. His voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "You will surrender this station immediately. You have 1 hour to prepare for boarding. Those who resist will be killed slowly. Those who cooperate will be killed quickly. Choose wisely, they know." Transmission ended. The command center was quiet except for the sound of the air recycling system and the distant hum of the station's power core. 1 hour, Jinho said. "What can we do in 1 hour?" So-Young's wings buzzed faster. "I can boost our shields maybe 20%. I can convert some mining lasers into weapons. But Commander, it will not matter. They have too many ships. Too many weapons." Hyunwoo looked around the command center at his friends and colleagues. These beings had worked together for years. They had shared meals, celebrated holidays, mourned their dead together. Now they would die together. "We fight," he said simply. "Commander," Taemin said gently, "we cannot win." "I know," Hyunwoo replied, "but we can make them remember us. We can make them pay for every life they take. And maybe, just maybe, someone will hear our distress signal. Someone will come to help. The next hour passed like a nightmare. Emergency teams moved through the station, getting civilians into the deepest, most protected areas. Engineers worked to turn mining equipment into weapons. Security teams checked their small collection of personal weapons and tried to look brave. So Young managed to boost the station's shields, but everyone knew it was like using paper to stop bullets. The mining lasers were powerful, but they were built to cut rock, not fight warships. Families said goodbye to each other. Parents held their children and tried to explain why bad people were coming. Some beings prayed to their gods. Others wrote final messages to send to their homeworlds. Jin-Ho stood on the station's observation deck, looking out at the approaching fleet. The ships looked like black daggers against the stars. Their weapon systems were already glowing with deadly energy. "Any word from the coalition?" he asked into his communicator. "Negative," came Hyun-Woo's voice. "No response to our distress calls. We are on our own." Young-Soo was in the archive section, frantically searching through old records. "There must be someone," he muttered to himself. "Someone who can help. Some old ally we forgot about." His research brought up legends and stories from the early days of the Galactic Coalition, tales of a warrior species that had helped build the Alliance before disappearing into the dark regions of space. Most scholars thought they were myths. "Humans," he whispered, reading an old file. "Species designation, Terran. Last confirmed contact, 500 years ago. Status, unknown. Notes, aggressive defenders of innocent life. Never abandon allies." But legends could not help them now. The Scarith fleet was almost in weapons range. Alarms sounded again as the enemy ships began to spread out, surrounding the station completely. There would be no escape, no running away. This was where they would make their stand. "All hands. This is Commander Hyun-Woo." His voice echoed through the station's communication system. "In a few minutes the enemy will attack. Some of you are afraid. That is normal. I am afraid too. But remember this. We are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for our families, our friends, our way of life. We are fighting to show the galaxy that evil does not always win. Stand strong. Stand together. Make them remember that we were here." The Scarith flagship's main weapon began to glow with deadly energy. Other ships followed, their guns turning toward the small mining station that dared to resist. In the command center, the defenders waited. They had done everything they could. Their shields were as strong as possible, their weapons were ready. Their people were as safe as they could make them. Now all they could do was wait for the end and hope someone, somewhere, had heard their call for help. The stars watched silently as the dark fleet prepared to destroy another innocent world. The first Scarith weapons fired like angry red stars against the blackness of space. Energy bolts crashed into Kalara Station's shields, making the entire structure shake like a leaf in a storm. In the command center, sparks flew from damaged control panels as the lights flickered on and off. "Shields down to 60%, So Young reported, her 6 arms dancing across her controls. "They are testing our defenses. The real attack has not started yet." Commander Hyun-Woo gripped the edge of his command chair, his crystal fingers leaving small cracks in the metal. Through the main view screen, he could see the massive Scarith fleet positioning itself around the station like hunters surrounding wounded prey. "Return fire with everything we have," he ordered. The station's converted mining lasers shot back at the enemy ships. The bright blue beams looked pitiful compared to the red storm coming from the Scarith fleet. A few shots hit their targets, but the enemy shields absorbed the damage easily. "We might as well be throwing rocks at them," Jin-Ho muttered. The security chief's stone-like face showed no fear, but his hands were clenched into fists. "Their shields are military grade. Our mining equipment barely scratches them." More enemy fire hit the station. This time the attack was stronger. The shields flickered and failed in 3 sections. Emergency teams rushed to seal hull breaches as atmosphere escaped into space with a horrible whistling sound. "Shields down to 30%, So Young announced. Her compound eyes reflected the red warning lights flashing throughout the command center. "Commander, we cannot take much more of this." Young-Soo looked up from his research terminal, his ancient crystal body glowing with excitement. Commander, wait. I am detecting something strange on the long-range sensors. Strange how? Hyunwoo asked, moving to the historian station. There is a ship at the edge of the system. Just one ship. It appeared right after the Scareth attack started. Taemin, the navigation officer, checked his instruments. His rocky features showed confusion. That is impossible. My sensors show nothing. Check frequency 77 Alpha, Young-soo said. Use the old coalition scanning protocols from 500 years ago. The Dromal navigator's massive fingers worked across his controls. Suddenly, his eyes went wide. By the sacred mountains, there is something there. How did I miss it? The main view screen switched to show the edge of the solar system. At first there was nothing but stars and empty space. Then the computer enhanced the image and they saw it. A ship, dark and massive, moving toward them through the void. Size estimate? Hyunwoo asked. 3 kilometers long, Taemin replied, his voice filled with wonder. Mass reading suggests heavy armor and weapons. Design is unknown. It does not match any ship in our databases. So Young's wings buzzed nervously. Commander, that ship is heading straight for the Scareth fleet. Either they are very brave or very stupid. Another wave of enemy fire hit the station. This time the shields failed completely. The mining station shook as weapons hit its hull directly. Sections 7 and 12 lost atmosphere, and the emergency crews worked frantically to save the people trapped inside. Incoming transmission, Young-soo announced. But it is strange. The signal is using communication protocols that are over 500 years old. Put it through, Hyunwoo ordered. The speakers crackled with static. Then a voice came through. It was unlike anything they had ever heard. Deep, strong, and completely calm despite the battle raging around them. Kalara Station, this is the human dreadnought Indomitable. We received your distress call. All civilians maintain position. Help has arrived. The command center fell silent. Everyone stared at each other with shock and disbelief. Did he say human? Jin-ho asked quietly. Young-soo was frantically searching his databases. Humans are myths, legends, stories told to children. They disappeared from known space 500 years ago. Most scholars think they never existed at all. Well, something is talking to us, So Young said. And whatever it is, it thinks it can help us fight 200 Scareth warships. The mysterious ship moved closer to the battle. As it approached, they could see more details. The vessel was dark gray, almost black, with angular lines that suggested both strength and speed. Weapon ports covered its hull like the eyes of some great predator. It looked old but well maintained, like a sword that had been sharpened many times. This is War Leader Vaktar to unknown vessel, came the Scareth commander's voice over the communication system. You are interfering with official Scareth Empire business. Leave immediately or be destroyed. The human ship's response came quickly. This is Captain Kyung-soo of the Human Colonial Defense Force. You are attacking innocent civilians under our protection. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your forces or face the consequences. Vaktar's laughter sounded like metal grinding. Against bone. One ship against my entire fleet. Are you insane? I will crush you like an insect, then finish destroying this station. 25 seconds, the human captain replied calmly. The Scareth commander was clearly angry now. Destroy that fool. All ships concentrate fire on the human vessel. 50. Scareth warships turned their weapons toward the lone human ship. The space around the mysterious vessel filled with red energy bolts and plasma torpedoes. Surely nothing could survive such an attack. But when the weapons fire cleared, the human ship was still there. Its dark hull showed some damage, but it was still moving, still fighting. Impossible, Vaktar whispered. Time is up, Captain Kyung-soo announced. You chose poorly. What happened next would be remembered for generations. The human ship did not retreat or try to run away. Instead, it charged directly into the middle of the Scareth fleet like a predator attacking its prey. Weapons erupted from every part of the human vessel. Blue-white energy beams cut through Scareth shields like they were made of paper. Strange projectiles shot from railguns at incredible speed, punching holes completely through enemy ships. Point defense lasers created a deadly web of light around the human vessel, destroying anything that came too close. How are they doing this? So Young asked in amazement. Their weapons are cutting through military-grade shields like they are not even there. The human ship moved through the enemy fleet with deadly grace. It was outnumbered 50-1, but it fought like it had already won. Skarath ships exploded around it, their hulls split open by weapons the defenders had never seen before. Small craft launched from the human ship's fighter bays. They were sleek and fast, moving in perfect formation like a flock of hunting birds. The fighters weaved between the larger enemy ships, striking at weak points with precision that seemed impossible. "Look at how they fight," Jinho said with wonder. "They are not just attacking randomly. Every shot has a purpose. Every movement is planned." Young-Soo was studying the battle through the station's sensors. "The humans are using tactics I have never seen before. They make the Skarath look clumsy and slow." The mysterious human fighters were doing something incredible. Instead of trying to match the enemy's superior numbers, they used the asteroid field around Kalara Station as cover. They would dart out from behind rocks, strike at enemy ships, then disappear again before the Skarath could respond. "They are turning our asteroid field into a weapon," Taimin observed, using the rocks to hide their movements and confuse the enemy sensors. One human fighter pilot's voice came over the communication channels. The defenders could hear him talking to his squadmates as they fought. "This is Wing Commander Ho Jin. All fighters, remember the mission, protect the innocent, no enemy ship escapes." The pilot's voice was calm and professional, but there was something else there too, a determination that seemed unbreakable. These humans were not fighting because they had to. They were fighting because they wanted to. The battle continued to rage around them. The lone human ship was still outnumbered, still taking damage, but it was winning. Skarath vessels burned in space, their crews dead or fleeing. The perfect formation of the enemy fleet was breaking apart as ships tried to escape the human weapons. But Vaktar was not finished yet. The Skarath commander ordered his remaining ships to form a new battle line. He still had over 100 vessels left, and he was determined to crush this human upstart. "All ships, full power to weapons," he commanded. "Charge the planet killer. If I cannot have this station, I will make sure no one else can either." The massive Skarath flagship began to glow with deadly energy. Its main weapon was designed to destroy entire worlds. At this range, it would turn Kalara Station and everyone on it into floating dust. In the station's command center, the defenders watched with growing fear. The human ship had fought well, but it was still only one vessel against an entire fleet. And now the enemy was preparing to use their most powerful weapon. "Can the humans stop that?" Hyunwoo asked. Young-Soo shook his head sadly. "I do not know. I do not think anyone can stop a planet killer at this range." But even as death approached, the human ship did not retreat. Instead, it accelerated toward the Skarath flagship, weapons blazing, ready to fight until the very end. The defenders of Kalara Station could only watch and hope that the legends they had heard about humans were true, that these mysterious warriors really were as brave and determined as the old stories claimed. Space burned with the light of battle as two civilizations clashed in the darkness between stars. The human dreadnought Indomitable charged toward the Skarath flagship like a bullet fired from the darkness. Captain Kyung-Soo stood on his ship's bridge, watching the enemy's planet-killer weapon charge with deadly energy. His crew worked around him with calm efficiency, as if fighting impossible odds was just another day at work. "Distance to target?" he asked. 2,000 kilometers in closing," replied Lieutenant Commander Nari from her tactical station. The young woman's hands moved across her controls like a pianist playing a deadly song. "Their main weapon will be ready to fire in 60 seconds. "More than enough time," Kyung-Soo said with a slight smile. "All fighters, execute attack pattern 7. Target their weapon systems." On Kalara Station, the defenders watched in amazement as the human fighters suddenly changed direction. Instead of continuing their hit-and-run attacks on the smaller Skarath ships, they formed up into tight formations and dove toward the massive flagship. "They are flying straight into the heaviest enemy fire," So Young observed, her compound eyes tracking the small craft on her sensors. That is suicide. But the human pilots did not seem to care about the impossible odds. Wing Commander Ho-Jin's voice came over the communication channels, calm and determined. Phoenix Squadron, follow my lead. Remember, we are not just fighting for ourselves. We fight for every innocent life on that station. The human fighters moved like they shared one mind. They weaved through the storm of enemy fire with grace that seemed impossible. When Skarath plasma bolts came too close, the fighters would roll and twist, always staying just ahead of destruction. How did they do that? Jinho asked in wonder. No pilot should be able to react that fast. Young Su was studying the tactical display, his ancient crystal body glowing with excitement. Look at their formation patterns. They are not flying randomly. Each pilot knows exactly where every other pilot will be at any moment. They trust each other completely. The human fighters reached the Skarath flagship and began their attack. But instead of trying to destroy the massive ship, they focused on specific targets. Weapon systems, shield generators, sensor arrays. Each strike was precise and deadly. Smart, Taemin rumbled. They are not trying to destroy the flagship. They are trying to blind it and take away its teeth. Explosions bloomed across the enemy ship's hull as the human fighters found their marks. The planet-killer weapon flickered and died as its power systems failed. Other weapons went silent as their control centers were destroyed, but the fighters paid a price for their success. Enemy fire caught 2 of them, turning the small craft into brief stars in the darkness. The remaining pilots did not pause to mourn their fallen comrades. They simply continued their mission with cold determination. Meanwhile, the Indomitable had reached the heart of the Skarath fleet. The massive human ship was surrounded by enemies, taking fire from all directions. Its dark hull was scarred with weapon strikes and atmosphere vented from several breaches. Any other ship would have been destroyed by now, but the Indomitable kept fighting. Hull breach on Deck 7, reported the ship's damage control officer. We have lost life support in sections 12 through 15. Reroute power from non-essential systems, Captain Kyung-soo ordered calmly, and tell the crew in those sections to suit up. We have work to finish. What amazed the station's defenders was not just that the humans kept fighting despite the damage, it was how they kept fighting. When their shields failed, they used their armor. When their armor was breached, they sealed the holes and kept going. When their life support failed, they put on vacuum suits and continued working. They are insane, So Young whispered. No sane being fights like this. Maybe that is why they are winning, Hyunwoo replied. The human ship's weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The railguns fired solid projectiles at incredible speed, punching clean through Skarath ships from one side to the other. The energy weapons seemed to ignore enemy shields completely, cutting through them like they were not even there. But it was not just the weapons that made the humans deadly. It was how they used them. Watch their targeting patterns, Young-soo said, pointing at the tactical display. They are not just shooting at the closest targets. They are choosing specific ships to destroy first. The old historian was right. The humans were targeting the Skarath command vessels first, disrupting the enemy's ability to coordinate their attacks. Then they focused on the ships with the heaviest weapons, reducing the amount of fire coming their way. They understand war, Jinho said with grudging respect. This is not just fighting, this is thinking. Lieutenant Commander Nari coordinated the Indomitable's weapons with deadly precision. Her tactical display showed every enemy ship, every weapon, every weak point. She chose targets not just based on what would cause the most damage, but on what would help the overall battle. Enemy cruiser at bearing 27 Mark IV is trying to flank us, she reported. Recommend we destroy it before it can get into position. Confirmed, Captain Kyung-soo replied. Take it out. The human ship's main guns swiveled toward the target. A single salvo of railgun rounds struck the Skarath cruiser, and the enemy vessel simply came apart. Its hull split like an overripe fruit, spilling debris and bodies into space. But the battle was taking its toll on the humans too. The Indomitable was badly damaged, with fires burning on multiple decks. Several of its weapon systems had been destroyed. Worst of all, they were running low on ammunition for their most powerful guns. Captain, Nari reported, We are down to 30% on railgun rounds. Energy weapons are still operational, but the enemy is adapting to our firing patterns. Then we adapt too, Kyung-soo said. Switch to pattern Delta and launch all remaining fighters. The human ship's fighter bays opened, releasing another wave of small craft. These pilots were different from the first group. Where the earlier fighters had been precise and tactical, these new ones fought with wild abandon. They did not try to avoid enemy fire. Instead, they flew straight through it, accepting damage in order to close with their targets. Some had clearly been hit multiple times, trailing smoke and sparks, but they kept fighting. Are they trying to get killed? So, Young asked in confusion. No, Young-soo said quietly. They are trying to ram. The old Talari was correct. The damaged, human fighters were using themselves as weapons. They would target critical enemy systems and crash into them at full speed, trading their lives for maximum damage. One pilot's voice came over the communication system as his fighter streaked toward a Skarath destroyer. This is Lieutenant Woo Jin. My engines are gone, weapons are dead, but I can still fly, for humanity, for the innocent. The fighter struck the enemy ship's reactor section and both craft vanished in a brilliant explosion. They sacrifice themselves willingly, Jinho said with awe. They choose to die so others can live. The battle had been raging for over an hour, and the tide was slowly turning. The Skarath fleet had started with 200 ships. Now less than half remained operational, but the humans were also paying a heavy price. The Indomitable was badly damaged and many of its fighters had been destroyed. War leader Vaktar was furious. His perfect fleet was being torn apart by a single human ship and a handful of fighters. It was impossible. It was humiliating. All ships concentrate fire on the human vessel, he commanded. I want it destroyed now. The remaining Skarath ships began to form up around the Indomitable, surrounding it completely. There was no escape now. The human ship would have to face the entire enemy fleet at once. On Kalara Station, the defenders watched with growing fear. The humans had fought better than anyone thought possible, but they were still outnumbered. And now the enemy was positioning for a final, overwhelming attack. They cannot survive that much firepower, Hyunwoo said sadly. No ship can. But Captain Kyung-soo did not seem worried. His voice came over the communication channels as calm as ever. All stations prepare for final engagement. Remember why we fight. Remember who we protect. The human ship's remaining weapons swiveled toward the surrounding enemies. Its fighters took position around their mothership, ready to make their final stand. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and almost out of ammunition. But they were not out of courage. This is Captain Kyung-soo to all Skarath vessels, the human commander broadcast. You have one last chance to withdraw. Leave now, and you will be allowed to go in peace. Stay, and we will destroy you all. Vaktar's laughter filled the communication channels. You are surrounded, human, you have lost. Surrender now, and I will make your death quick. There was a long pause. Then Captain Kyung-soo's voice came back, and there was something new in his tone. Not fear, not anger, but something that made the defenders of Kalara Station shiver. You still do not understand, the human said quietly. We are not trapped here with you. You are trapped here with us. The final battle was about to begin. Just as war leader Vaktar prepared to order the final attack on the damaged human ship, something impossible happened. The space around Kalara Station began to shimmer and twist as new ships dropped out of hyperspace. Not just one ship this time. Not just 2 or 3. An entire fleet materialized from the void, their dark hulls blocking out the stars behind them. On the station's bridge, Taemin's rocky hands shook as he read his sensors. Commander, I am detecting massive hyperspace signatures. Multiple contacts emerging all around the system. How many? Hyunwoo asked, though his crystal body was already glowing with hope. 20 and 40 ships and still counting, the Dromal navigator reported. Commander, there are over 100 vessels out there. All of them are human design. The main view screen showed the new arrivals taking position around the Skarath fleet. Massive dreadnoughts, sleek cruisers, fast destroyers, and clouds of fighters. Each ship bore the same dark colors as the Indomitable, and each one looked ready for war. A new voice came over the communication channels, strong and confident. "This is Fleet Admiral Siwu of Task Force Redemption, Human Colonial Defense Force. All Skarath vessels will power down their weapons immediately and prepare to surrender." War Leader Vaktar stared at his tactical display in shock. His fleet of 200 ships had seemed unstoppable an hour ago. Now he was outnumbered by the humans, and their ships looked far more advanced than anything in his fleet. "Impossible," he whispered. "Humans are extinct. They have been gone for 500 years. "We never left," Admiral Siwu replied calmly. "We were always watching, always listening, and now we have returned." The human fleet moved with perfect coordination. The larger ships took positions to block any escape routes while the smaller vessels moved in to surround individual Skarath ships. It was like watching a pack of predators corner their prey. So Young's compound eyes reflected the lights from her sensor display. "Commander, the human ships are using communication codes I have never seen before. They are coordinating their movements without any delays. It is like they share a single mind." Young-Soo was frantically searching through his historical databases. "I found something. Ancient records speak of human fleet consciousness, a way of linking ship computers together so they could fight as one unit, but the technology was thought to be impossible." "Apparently not," Jinho said, watching as the human ships moved into perfect battle formation. "Look how they position themselves. Every ship knows exactly where every other ship will be." The flagship of the new human fleet was enormous, even larger than the Indomitable. Its hull was covered with weapon ports, and its design suggested centuries of experience in building warships. This was a vessel built by a people who knew how to fight. From this ship came Admiral Siwu's voice, broadcasting on all frequencies, so every being in the system could hear. "People of Kalara Station, this is the human colonial fleet. We apologize for the delay in responding to your distress call. We are here now, and we will see that justice is done." Commander Hyunwoo felt something he had not experienced in hours, real hope. "Admiral Siwu, this is Commander Hyunwoo of Kalara Station. We thought we were going to die. How did you find us so quickly?" "Commander, humanity has been monitoring distress calls from this region for 5 centuries. When innocent lives are threatened, we respond. Always." The Skarath fleet was now completely surrounded. Vaktar's ships were trapped between the human fleet and the asteroid field around Kalara Station. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. "This is War Leader Vaktar to all human vessels," the Skarath commander broadcast. "I demand safe passage. For my fleet. We were conducting legitimate military operations in this sector." Admiral Siwu's response was cold as deep space. "War Leader Vaktar, you attacked innocent civilians without provocation. You threatened to destroy a mining station full of families and children. There will be no safe passage. There will be no mercy. You cannot fight all of us," Vaktar snarled. "Even with your reinforcements, we still have over 100 ships left. The battle will cost you dearly." "The battle is already over," Admiral Siwu replied. "You just have not realized it yet. What happened next would become legendary throughout the galaxy. The human fleet did not charge into battle like wild animals. They did not waste ammunition on unnecessary targets. Instead, they fought with cold, calculated precision that was terrifying to watch. Captain Sang-ho of the destroyer Resilient led a group of fast ships around the Skarath fleet's flank. His voice was calm and professional as he coordinated the attack. "Target their command vessels first, cut off the head and the body dies." The human destroyers moved like hunting sharks, fast and deadly. Their weapons were different from the Indomitables, smaller but incredibly accurate. Each shot found its mark, destroying exactly what it was aimed at and nothing more. Commander Yoonji, leading the human marines, prepared her boarding teams as disabled Skarath ships drifted helplessly in space. Her soldiers were different from anything the galaxy had ever seen. They wore powered armor that made them look like metal giants, and they carried weapons that could cut through starship hull plating. "Boarding teams Alpha through Delta, prepare for hostile contact," she commanded. "Remember the rules of engagement. Enemy combatants get one chance to surrender. Anyone who threatens civilians gets no chances at all. The Marines launched from their ships in small assault craft, heading for the crippled Skarath vessels. The defenders of Kalara Station watched in fascination as the humans prepared to fight hand-to-hand combat inside enemy ships. They are boarding the Skarath vessels, So Young observed. But why? They could just destroy them from a distance. Young-Soo found the answer in his historical records. Human military doctrine emphasizes capturing enemy intelligence. They want to know if there are other Skarath fleets in the region. They want to prevent future attacks. The boarding actions were swift and brutal. The human Marines moved through enemy ships like unstoppable forces of nature. Their armor protected them from Skarath weapons while their own guns cut through enemy defenders with ease. But it was not just superior equipment that made the humans deadly in close combat. It was their tactics and their absolute refusal to give up. When a human Marine was wounded, his teammates would cover him while he continued fighting. When they ran low on ammunition, they used their armor as weapons, crushing enemy soldiers with powered gauntlets. Commander Yunji's voice came over the communication channels as her team fought through a Skarath cruiser. Deck 7 secured, moving to the bridge. Resistance is lighter than expected. These lizards are not as tough as they pretend to be. Meanwhile, the main battle continued in space around them. The human fleet was methodically destroying the Skarath vessels, but they were doing it with surgical precision. Instead of simply blowing up enemy ships, they were disabling them, capturing them, or forcing them to surrender. Captain Do-hyun of the cruiser Defiance demonstrated the human approach to warfare. When a Skarath destroyer tried to escape, he did not destroy it. Instead, his gunners targeted its engines, leaving the enemy ship helpless but alive. "This is Captain Do-hyun to Skarath Vessel Designation 77 Alpha," he broadcast. "Your engines are disabled. Surrender now and your crew will be treated according to the laws of war. Continue fighting and we will board your ship." Some Skarath crews chose to surrender. Others fought to the end. The humans accommodated both choices with equal efficiency. War leader Vaktar watched his perfect fleet being torn apart by enemies who fought like they had been born for war. His ships were faster than human vessels. His weapons were more powerful. His crews were more vicious. But none of that mattered. The humans fought smarter. They fought together. And most importantly, they fought for something greater than themselves. "All ships retreat to hyperspace," Vaktar finally commanded. "We cannot win this battle." But when his remaining ships tried to jump to hyperspace, nothing happened. Their jump drives were dead, disabled by some kind of interference. Admiral Siwoo's voice came over the communication system, and now there was grim satisfaction in his tone. "Did you think we would let you escape? Did you think we would allow you to attack other innocent worlds? No, war leader. This ends here. This ends now." The human fleet began its final assault. This was not the wild charge of desperate defenders. This was the methodical destruction of an enemy by warriors who had turned fighting into an art form. The Skarath fleet died ship by ship, crew by crew. Some vessels were destroyed outright when their crews refused to surrender. Others were captured, intact, their crews taken prisoner. A few tried to self-destruct rather than face human justice, but even this was denied to them as human boarding teams disabled their weapons. In less than 2 hours, the entire Skarath invasion force was gone. Some ships were floating hulks. Others were captured prizes with human crews aboard. The rest were nothing but debris drifting in the cold vacuum of space. War leader Vaktar's flagship was the last to fall. The massive vessel, which had terrorized dozens of worlds, was systematically disabled by human weapons. Its engines were destroyed, its weapons silenced. Its shields collapsed. The silence after the battle was almost as overwhelming as the noise during it. Kalara Station drifted in space, surrounded by the wreckage of what had once been a mighty Skarath invasion fleet. The human ships moved among the debris like guardian angels, their dark hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. Commander Hyun-woo stood in the station's observation lounge, his crystal body still glowing faintly from the stress of recent events. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see human vessels approaching the station. Medical ships, repair vessels, and support craft were coming to help the people they had just saved. "Commander," So Young said, entering the lounge, with her characteristic buzzing of wings, "the humans are requesting permission to dock. They want to provide medical assistance and help repair our damage." Hyunwoo nodded slowly. "Grant them docking permission. After what they did for us, they can have anything they want." The first human ship to dock was a medical vessel painted white with red symbols that the station's computer translated as meaning healing and help. From its airlock came beings that the station's residents had only heard about in legends. Humans were smaller than most galactic species, bipedal mammals with smooth skin and hair on their heads, but there was something about the way they moved, the way they looked at the world around them that suggested great strength hidden beneath their simple appearance. Dr. Era was the first human to step onto Kalara Station. She was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and gentle hands, but she moved with the confidence of someone who had seen many battles. Behind her came a team of medical technicians carrying equipment that looked far more advanced than anything the station had. "I am Dr. Era of the Human Medical Corps," she said, her translator device converting her words into the common galactic language. "We are here to help. Where are your wounded?" Jin Ho, still amazed that humans were real, led the medical team to the station's emergency center. "We have 17 beings with serious injuries from the battle," he explained. "Our medical facilities are basic. We were not prepared for this kind of damage." Dr. Ara moved through the medical center with quiet efficiency, examining each patient and making decisions about their care. What impressed the station's medical staff was not just her skill, but her compassion. She treated each wounded being, regardless of species, with the same gentle care she would give to her own family. "Your people," said Kang Mi, the station's Vexian doctor. "They care about strangers as much as their own kind." Dr. Ara looked up from the Talari child she was treating. "All life is precious," she said simply. "That is what makes us human." While the medical teams worked, other humans were helping to repair the station's damaged systems. Engineer Jun Seok led a team of technicians who seemed to understand alien technology better than the aliens themselves. "Your power distribution system is very elegant," he told So Young as they worked together to restore the station's shields. "We use a similar design on our colony worlds, but you could improve efficiency by adjusting the plasma flow rates." So Young's compound eyes studied the human engineer with fascination. "You have been gone from known space for 500 years. How do you know so much about our technology?" Junsuk smiled. "We never stopped watching. We never stopped learning. We always knew that someday we would return to help our galactic neighbors." In the station's command center, Commander Hyunwoo was meeting with Fleet Admiral Siwoo. The human leader was older than the others, with gray hair and lines on his face that spoke of many years carrying heavy responsibilities. But his eyes were kind, and when he spoke, his words carried the weight of absolute truth. "Admiral," Hyunwoo said, "I must ask, why did you come? Why did humans risk their lives for strangers?" Siwoo was quiet for a long moment, looking out at the stars through the command center's main window. When he spoke, his voice was soft but filled with conviction. 500 years ago, when humanity first joined the galactic community, we made friends with many species. We learned from them, traded with them, fought alongside them against common enemies. But then came the Great War, and everything changed. Admiral paused, his eyes distant with memory. The war was brutal. Entire species were wiped out. Worlds were burned. The galaxy nearly tore itself apart. Humanity could have stayed and fought, but our leaders made a different choice. They decided to withdraw to the outer rim, to build our strength and wait for the right time to return. But before we left, we made a promise. We swore an oath to every species that had called us friend. We promised that as long as humans lived, we would never let innocent beings face extinction alone. Today, we kept that promise. Young Soo, who had been listening from his research station, looked up with wonder. 500 years? You waited 500 years to keep a promise to people you had never met? Admiral Siwu turned to face the elderly Talari historian. A promise is a promise regardless of how much time passes. That is what separates civilization from chaos. That is what makes us who we are. Over the next several days, more human ships arrived at Kalara Station. Not warships this time, but colony vessels, trading ships, and diplomatic craft. The humans were not just returning to fight, they were returning to stay. Ambassador Doyan arrived on a sleek diplomatic vessel and immediately began establishing the first human embassy in known space for 5 centuries. She was a young woman with an infectious smile and an energy that seemed to spread to everyone around her. "We have much to discuss with the Galactic Coalition," she told Commander Hyunwoo. "Trade agreements, mutual defense pacts, cultural exchanges. Humanity has been isolated for too long. What do you want in return?" Hyunwoo asked. In his experience, no one helped others without expecting something back. Doyon's smile widened. "Nothing. We want nothing in return except the chance to be part of the galactic community again. We have been alone in the dark for 500 years. We are tired of being alone." As the humans worked to help repair and improve Kalara Station, the news of their return spread across the galaxy. Other species sent representatives to meet these legendary warriors who had appeared from nowhere to save innocent lives. The Altarian Trade Federation sent a delegation. The Centauri Science Council dispatched their best researchers. Even the reclusive Andorians emerged from their hidden worlds to make contact with the humans. All of them had the same questions. Where had humans been? How many were there? What did they want? Admiral Siwu answered these questions in a broadcast that was transmitted across known space. He stood in Kalara Station's main assembly hall, surrounded by beings from dozens of different species, all of them listening intently to his words. "Friends and neighbors," he began, "humanity has returned to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as protectors. For 500 years we have built a new civilization in the Outer Rim. We have colonies on 10,000 worlds. We have fleets that patrol the dark spaces between stars. We have technology that could reshape the galaxy. But most importantly, we have remembered why we exist. We exist to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We exist to stand against the darkness that would consume the innocent. We exist to be the shield that guards the light of civilization." He paused, looking out at the assembled crowd. "We offer the galaxy our friendship, our protection, and our partnership. We ask for nothing in return except the chance to stand beside you as equals. The choice is yours." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Species after species stood up to pledge their support for humanity's return. Trade agreements were signed. Defense pacts were established. Cultural exchange programs were created. But perhaps the most important moment came when a small Talari child, one of the many civilians who had been saved during the battle, approached Admiral Siwu with a simple question. "Mr. Human," the child said in a voice barely above a whisper, "will you really protect us? Will you really keep us safe?" The Admiral knelt down so he could look the child in the eyes. "Yes, little one. That is our promise to you and to all innocent beings in this galaxy. We will protect you. We will keep you safe. And we will never abandon you again." The child smiled and hugged the human leader, and in that moment, everyone watching knew that something fundamental had changed in the galaxy. Humanity had returned, not just as warriors, but as guardians. As the days passed and the human fleet prepared to establish patrol routes throughout the sector, Commander Hyunwoo found himself thinking about the battle and its aftermath. The Skarath invasion force had been completely destroyed or captured. The threat to Kalara Station was over. But more importantly, the galaxy now knew that it was not alone in the darkness. He stood once again in the observation lounge, watching as human ships moved through space with purpose and grace. Captain Kyung-soo of the Indomitable, his ship now repaired and ready for new missions, sent a final message to the station. "Commander Hyunwoo, this is Captain Kyung-soo. We are departing to establish patrol stations throughout this sector. If you ever need help again, just call. We will come." "Thank you, Captain," Hyunwoo replied. "Thank you for showing us that legends can be real."